Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial we are going to be going over getting user input in Python. So to start off this tutorial, I want to create a custom greeting based on what the user types in. So let's go ahead and create a variable called greeting, and we'll assign it a string that says hello, welcome. Now, I don't want it to just say hello, welcome. I want it to say hello, welcome, and then whatever your name is. So instead of hard coding your name, like so, I could say hello, welcome, Pedro. What I want to do is get the user's input. So I want to ask the question to the user, what is your name? The user types in what is his name, and then we are going to output hello, welcome, whatever your name is, whatever you typed in other words. So we have hello, welcome. Next, we need to use a built-in function, just like the print function. So this is already built into Python, and it's called input. And once again, once we type in input, we could use this function by using parentheses. Now this function takes in one argument or one thing that we could pass into it, and that is a prompt. So in other words, this is the question you want to ask your user. So the question that we're going to ask is, what is your name? And we'll do a little question mark. Now this function is going to return the user's input. So what I want to do with that user's input is store it within a variable. So we'll just say name is going to be assigned whatever input gets returned. Next, since we got our user's input, let's go ahead and print this out onto the console. So we could use some string concatenation. So we could say greeting. Don't forget to use the space. And then we add it to the name. So let's go ahead and save this and run it. So you see, if we come down here, what is your name? So it's asking us our name. So we could type our name. So I'm just going to say Pedro, hit enter, and you can see it says hello, welcome, Pedro. So here's a custom greeting based on the user's input. Now, if you don't like string concatenation, you can make a copy here, and we'll use F strings. So if you remember, we went F, and then we have a string literal here. We want to output what greeting is saying. So that's going to be hello, welcome, include a space, and then we want to output the name variable. So I type that in, go ahead and save, execute the program. What is your name? We'll say Bob this time. And you see that we get the same exact result. Okay, so what is next? Now, you might notice that this is a bit ugly. So it says, what is your name? And then the user's input is right next to it. So it doesn't look that great. So what I can do is, instead of passing our question within the input function, I can remove this. And you don't have to pass an argument to the input function, or you don't have to pass anything in the input function. What you can do is leave it blank, and I can prompt the user by using a print function up here. Go ahead and paste that. And now if I save, go ahead and execute, says what is your name, but notice that our cursor or starting point is on the next line. So it's not right next to what is your name. So now I could say Peter, hit enter, works perfectly fine. All right, so we got our custom greeting, but now let's give one more example with user's input. So I'm just gonna comment this out. So we're just gonna hit Control / comment that out. And now what I wanna do is ask the user for two numbers, add those two numbers, and then print out that the first number they entered and the second number they entered is equal to whatever it is. So what I can do is, let's go ahead and prompt the user. So what I'm going to ask them is enter a number. All right. So now we have our question. The user knows what we want. So now it's time to get the user's input. So we use the input function, and remember to save the result that the user types in within a variable. So I'll create a variable called num1, for example. So we'll save it within that. And now we need another number so we can add two numbers together. Let's go ahead and prompt the user once again. We'll say enter another number. And once again, we're going to create a variable. We'll call it num2. And we're going to invoke our input function. So we're getting the user's input once again. Next, we're going to add these two numbers together so we could create another variable. So we'll call it sum, and we'll say num1 plus num2. Now, this is an error, but it's actually a funny error. So we're going to leave this here and see what the result of this is. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to print out what sum is for now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save. Let's execute the program. So it says enter a number, we'll say 10. Enter another number, we'll say 2. So notice we didn't get the exact result that we expected. So 10 plus 2 should be 12, but we got 102. So what's happening here? Well, this input function is going to return the user's input, but as a string. So to prove this, we could use the type function, and we could check the type of num1. And let's go ahead and print that out. So if I save, go ahead and execute, I type out 10, and look what we're getting back. 10 is of type string. So this input function returns the user's input as a string. So that's why we get 102. So instead of adding two numbers together, Python is doing string concatenation. So it's just concatenating two strings together. So what can I do to stop this? Well, there is a function, and I believe I covered this when I went over string concatenation, where we used the string method to convert a number into a string. Well, in Python, there's another method called int, which takes whatever you give it and converts it into an int. So what I can do is call int, and we could wrap num1, and we could call int again and wrap num2. So basically, this is going to convert num2 into an int, and it's going to convert num1 into an int. And then from there, since we're adding two numbers together, store that within sum, and then go ahead and print out sum. So what I can do is, let me just comment this out. Go ahead and save. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hit Control C. And this is going to cancel the Python program that was running. Now let's go ahead and run it. So we'll say 10 plus 10. And you see that we get the valid answer now. Now, if you don't want to use int here, what we can do is we could get rid of it here. And we could wrap it around our input. So I could say int and then wrap input. So what's happening is, first, our input function gets invoked. We wait for the user's input. The user types in a number, and then we get the number back as a string. This string gets passed to this int function. And this int function converts that string into a number. So that's what's happening here. So if I copy this, and we'll paste that there, go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and execute. So we'll do 10 plus 20 this time. And we get the same exact outcome. So you could do it either way. You could convert it as soon as you get it, or you can convert it here. It does not matter. So now last thing before we go, instead of just printing out the answer, let's print out the two numbers. So I want to say 10 plus 20 equals, and then the answer. So I just don't want to print out the answer. So what I can do is I'm just going to use f strings. So we have our string literal here, And what I'm going to do is we're going to output num1. So this is directly from the user plus whatever they typed out for num2 is going to be equal to the sum. So now if I save this and we go ahead and execute, we can say 10 plus 20 and we get a nice little output. 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. So that is pretty much all I wanted to cover within this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next one.